Howdy, howdy, howdy. Back for another Yazo strategy talk. Now that we finally nailed down that name, shifting away from Find Things Refreshed, although, Find Things I think was a really big part of the Yazo journey. We've sort of figured out that these digestible strategy talks are sort of what our audience is looking for, which is kind of a big part of today's topic, right? Is interactive content in marketing. So,
Yes.
Nom, I want to throw it over to you to kind of get us started and set the stage, and then we'll rock it through this. Just so everybody knows, we're going to try and keep it short and sweet, 10, 15 minutes, but we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of interactive content and how you can leverage that or at least get started. And then if there's interest in continuing the conversation, of course, you know where to find us. So kick us off, Mom.
Yeah. So I just want to talk a little bit about interactive content for everybody. So you don't have to be some massive, large organization to use interactive content. So I'm going to start off by just giving you a couple examples of what I mean by this. And then we'll get into more of a strategy in terms of technology that's available today, some of the tools that are available today. But for me, I want to say that I feel like interactive content can be as simple as let me give you a couple examples. So let's say that you're doing an email campaign, and in that email campaign, you then promise a follow-up postcard, and you send out that postcard, and that postcard could have a QR code, and that QR code brings you to life where you're doing a video talking about the message. And then you, while you're doing the video, can direct them back to get involved in a survey that you might have put together, or something else online that you may have put together to experience. Like maybe it's a little demo if you're a technology company, a new technology company, and you can give them a little bit of a demo, a hands-on. So it's really multi-step. And you can do that. It's not expensive. I mean, you could do that right now where you do an email. You pick like core clients or opportunities that you want to send it to. So maybe you only want to send it to 10 people. You do a postcard. A postcard to 10 people is not expensive.
No.
And then you do a video just like we're doing, using something like StreamYard to just talk about the process. And then you send them back to maybe a landing page. That's interactive. It's getting them engaged. It's not one simple thing like an email. It's getting them engaged. There's a couple things. There's caveats, like you have to be willing to talk in front of a camera. If you're going to say, well, I'm not doing this and I'm not doing that, then interactive content probably isn't going to work for you, especially if you don't have a large budget, when you can bring in actors or, people to assist you. So it's up to you, but it's available. And then the second thing that I want to touch on, and then I'll turn it over to Eli, is interactive content just in the terms of mailers. So don't think of just a flat postcard. There's really cool, and maybe at the end we'll even share a company name with you. But there's really cool mailers available now that I find 9 out of 10 people I'm talking to have never even seen before. And these are things that come in your door. You open it up and it like pops out at you. It's literally interactive. On those interactive things, you can actually use a QR code.
Yes.
On the interactive thing itself that brings a video to life. So, it's anything that you can interact with. We are considering at Yazo Group interactive content. How in depth you want to go with your strategy is determined typically by your budget and your willingness to actually spend the time to get engaged with this type of campaign. But it is super exciting and super fun. And we would love to help, any company, small or large, just put together a really cool interactive content strategy. So Eli, I know you're super passionate about some of the technologies that we're finding.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
And that's kind of the great part about the world that we're in now. Obviously, we're in the phase of digital, right? And it does give you a lot of opportunity. Some of that can be overwhelming. So I love that you started with some of very simple examples. When we talk about interactive content, a lot of clients or folks that we'll talk to shy away from this from a budget perspective, from a resource perspective. And a lot of that is just from a misdefinition or not quite understanding what interactive content can mean. It's essentially getting away from what we've always been in, which is a one-sided marketing conversation. you talking to your clients or talking about your products to your clients. So the point of an interactive content is to create this more of a dynamic two-way conversation where your key customers, prospects, clientele can interact, they can participate, which is creating a deeper relationship with your brand. So the more that they engage and interact with the brand, the more they become a brand enthusiast, therefore that they're more likely to buy, purchase, become regular customers. And also the best part about that is become a referral network. So if you create this engagement, that's why we get so excited when we talk about the opportunities with interactive content, is that when you get it right and when you get clients, customers, prospects engaged with this interactive content, what you get out of that is not just this conversation, but you get analytics. You figure out what messaging is working, and you really you're getting the secret sauce, if you will, which is direct answers or direct engagement with your customers. That's ultimately what we want from a brand perspective, is that engagement. So I'm going to give you just a couple of examples, a quick list of 10 potential things that you can do. Angie already touched on one, which is interactive emails. What does that mean? You can use very simple things like including imagery in your emails. There's tools where you can build accordions into your emails, meaning it may start with what looks like a couple different tabs that you can click and it'll open up with more information or answers underneath that. So that's an example of an interactive email. Chatbots, having them on your website, that's interactive content because you're creating conversation. You're creating that two-way opportunity for someone to engage with your brand. Live streams, what we're doing here right now, StreamYard. This is interactive content because we have the ability to interact with you. If you leave comments, we can talk about certain things. There's an opportunity to leave questions. So it creates conversation. It's an easy way to start dipping your toes into interactive content. Talk about quizzes or polls. You have LinkedIn polls, which is readily available to anyone. It's really not a price hurdle. You have LinkedIn polls are a great way to create conversations and get information from your audience and from your clientele. Are you doing this? Have you thought about this? Have you tried this product? Have you tried this service? And putting that out there and leaving it open for answers, gathering that data. So there's that interactive piece with quizzes or polls. You get more into sort of the complex opportunities, which is like creating augmented reality, gamification. Those are things where, yes, it will take a little bit more of a resource, both monetarily and as an individual, to put together the strategy, to figure out what the content is, and to really create that interactive environment for augmented reality or gamification. So those are other deeper examples, but you can also get into in the world of like real estate, virtual tours. Do you do a virtual tour? Do you have those opportunities available? You can get into QR codes. So with videos, are you sending folks using QR codes to bring yourself to life? To Angie's point, those are readily available now, and the cost to get into using the QR code is very minimal, and it gives you, again, that tracking. Like if you're sending out a physical postcard, there's some form of tracking, right? Usually there's a call, but a QR code, you can get the metrics behind that. Is how many times have it been scanned? Where are they going? What's the follow-up? So QR codes are great for interactive content. And then there's two specific ones that I want to talk about, which is interactive infographics or landing pages. That can really be brought to life with a tool called StoryDoc. We've been using StoryDoc, talking about StoryDoc for quite some time. And the beauty of it is it really is sort of that next level of interactivity as it exists on a page that you would visit. You're scrolling through a page, it will interact with you as you scroll through the page. It'll give you options to dive deeper and learn more depending on what persona you are. You can set that all up, and there's opportunities not just for landing pages, but if you're a proposal, how do you take your proposal to the next level? If you're used to delivering a big proposal and you want to bring some life to your proposal versus, just a physical book, you can do that with StoryDoc. Mm-hmm. And the other one is Flipping Book, which we use all of the time. And it is, again, it's not a heavy cost, but basically what you're doing is if you're already creating some form of a PDF, think about that as like, maybe it's an ebook, maybe it's a course catalog, maybe it's a guide, maybe it's some type of service booklet that you're offering or that you want to display that your service is, versus just creating, maybe a multi-page PDF. You can then take that PDF and put it into Flipping Book and actually create an interactive element where folks can click through and feel like they're truly reading a magazine or something physical. But the benefit of that is you're also, again, you're getting the analytics. You're figuring out where folks are clicking through. So you could put click-through areas in your PDF that embed into Flipping Book that allow opportunity to dive deeper into the brand and learn more as they see fit. But it makes it relevant to them. And again, it's creating this two-way conversation. So that's why I get so excited, is there's opportunity to create conversation and learn from the analytics that you get from these types of tools. So if we look at this, and we talk about what is a strategy, an interactive content strategy look like? Well, typically what we'll do is we will start with a conversation very much like this. Let's list a 10 of opportunities that are potential interactive content. What do we see as low-hanging fruit that we can easily do and start to get information, get data, figure out what channels are working, and then invest at a deeper level for maybe some of those more complex interactive opportunities, or leveraging a tool like StoryDoc. StoryDoc is by no means cheap, but what it brings to you is that next level of marketing engagement. And when someone lands there, it's truly, hence the name StoryDoc, you have the opportunity to create a story on these landing pages that really become relevant to your audience. So, I mean, this is an area for a lot of folks to consider. Small to medium-sized businesses, it's ripe for the taking. I mean, as simple as creating LinkedIn polls, you can do that. There's no cost to that. So I feel as if this gets overlooked quite a bit as interactive content, just because there's a little bit of that fear factor, right? And it's the misunderstanding of, what does interactive content mean to me? Because what it means to your brand might be completely different to what it means to another brand, and how it's even utilized. So I think it's more of like, let's look at it with an open mind. Let's have that discussion on what interactive content could mean to you and to your brand.
And you know what? One thing I didn't talk about, which I absolutely love because I love writing and reading still, is blogs that are interactive just by links. So you can take a blog, you click on a link, it takes them to a short video. These could be super short, like little snippets where you click on a link and it just comes to you talking about, like, all I'm talking about there is blah, blah, blah. And then you make another one. What I'm pointing to there is blah, blah, blah. Like, so you literally create a blog, but then you wrap yourself around it. And this is something I really am excited about exploring, because you can just make these little mini videos, and then someone clicks it and it comes to life. Now, think about that if you're a salesperson, from the perspective of, people want to know who they're doing business with these days. There is literally no excuse for not getting your face on a video. And
so true.
It's a relationship building thing, where now I go into a meeting and someone already knows who I am when I walk in the door. And they've kind of, if you're real, they've kind of even felt your personality maybe a little bit. So doing it as simple as a blog that's flat, people think of that as flat content. It's not engaging, but you can do this with it.
And we just did this at Yazoo. So we had, last topic was streaming and advertising, right? We went live. We then utilized that live. We created a blog, and then we embedded the live into the blog. So it's very much like, rather than read, go ahead and listen to the talk. And those costs are very minimal. It's being able to understand how to build that strategy out and leverage those opportunities that are right there in front of you. And that's where oftentimes we always say the statement, your eyes glaze over, because they hear interactive content, and to them, they hear dollar signs, they think time, they think resources. And yes, there's a lot of interactive content that does have that, but there's also a lot of interactive content that's opportunity that does not have those hurdles or barriers to entry. So when we think about this is a conversation at Yazoo that we get really excited about. And if you're out there and you're curious about what interactive content could be applicable to your brand, your products, or your services, we would love to have that conversation and talk through, what opportunities are there? What have you tried? What do you already know? And where are you trying to find, maybe more information, more analytics, or you want to test something out? We can go through all of that from a strategy perspective, and then really start to build out what's required. What platform are you going to do this on? Do you even need a platform? Maybe you're already using a platform that has this interactivity built into it. And then how do we start to just get out in front of it and get trying and gather data. It's always about being able to resort back to what kind of data, what kind of message did you learn? Because then that's how you figure out success.
Yep.
So interactive content, there's the sky's the limit. That's for sure. There's a lot of different directions that you can go, but it's low hanging fruit. And that's why we felt it was extremely applicable to a lot of our clients, which we have already tried a lot of these and are starting to find even more and more success in today's digital world through these interactive opportunities.
And we're over 15 minutes.
And we're over 15 minutes. So we're going to keep to it, cut them short and sweet. But if any of you have questions, comments, and you want to dive into this deeper with us, we would love to have that conversation offline. If there's a topic you guys are looking forward to or would like to hear information about or have a strategy talk around, drop that into the comments and we'll get that topic on the books. But stay on the lookout for more information around interactive content. We'll be pushing out some content over the next couple of weeks. And then we're going to lead into our bi-weekly cadence. So stay on the lookout for what 2 Thursdays from now takes us to, let me just double check. We'll do a plug here. May 30th, mark on your calendars. We'll have our next strategy talk, but we appreciate you all. Thanks for diving on in with us.
See you
Have
then.
a great Thursday, everybody. Take care.
Bye.